Welcome back, everybody, to Sports by GSMC Podcast Network. I am your host, Jeremy Lapidus. If you are just tuning in, we just finished breaking down the UConn Huskies being your back-to-back national champions in men's basketball. The first time that has happened since Florida did it all the way back in 2006-2007. An incredible run by them makes them a blue blood school, in my opinion. Let me know what you guys think about that. But in this second segment here, we are going to leave college basketball, graduate up to the pros, the NBA. The season is winding down. We're going to talk a little bit about the awards. The hottest contested award right now seems to be the Defensive Player of the Year award. The MVP is still up for grabs, which is very exciting. We haven't had a race like this in quite some time. But the Defensive Player of the Year award has the most intrigue / outrage / conversation around it. So we're going to break that one down a little bit. Maybe we'll get into some MVP stuff as well. But before we do, remember, if you would like to be an even bigger part of the show than you already are, all you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net, leave a tip or donation. If you leave a tip or donation with a message, you can control what we talk about on the show. Your question will pop up on the bottom of the screen, or your statement, anything that you would like to talk about. We will have a discussion about it. You can control the fate of this show. You can control how this show goes. All you need to do is go to gsmcpodcast.net and leave that tip or donation. We appreciate anything that you do give. Once again, that link is gsmcpodcast.net. But like I was saying, we are going to transition into the NBA, and the season is winding down. We're going to talk a little bit about DPOY. The award season is coming up. A lot of these awards are seemingly locked in. DPOY even seems like it's kind of locked in, although I think this is why we're having this conversation. Because you have your establishment guy in Rudy Gobert, the guy who's been the front runner all season. He's the anchor of one of the best defenses in the league in the Minnesota Timberwolves, taking on up-and-coming rookie Victor Wembenyama. Victor Wembenyama, who is just a monster. He's putting up stat lines that you can only imagine. He's putting up 2K My Player stat lines. He's putting up stuff that 5 years ago, you said anybody, even last year, you said anybody was putting up these numbers, you would be laughed out of the room. These numbers are insane. They're superhuman, and he's only going to get better. He's putting up 5 blocks, 5 steals, almost repeatedly back-to-back nights. So we take a look at these two players, these two juggernauts of defense. And this isn't to say either of these two are bad. They're both in the conversation for the best defender in the entire league for a reason. My vote goes towards Victor Wembenyama just because of how striking it's been. Rudy Gobert is doing his thing, and I never want to be that person that takes someone out because of voter fatigue. But when you just have a phenom like Victor Wembenyama, and he's doing what he's doing on the defensive end, his blocks, his effectiveness, his length, really, he gets out of position sometimes, but he's able to recover every single time. He's just insane. And you compare that to a guy like a Rudy Gobert, who is one of the best rim defenders in the entire league. He's one of the best defenders of all time. He's won Defensive Player of the Year, I believe, 4 times now. He's been a finalist almost every single year of his career that he's been healthy. He is one of the best defenders of all time, and he's like that for a reason. There's a reason that he most likely is going to win this award. It's not a great one. The NBA has never given DPOY out to a rookie. In fact, the youngest player to ever win Defensive Player of the Year was Jaren Jackson Jr. He was 23 at the time, so this is a recent thing. And we see this kind of pattern go into a lot of awards. People are hesitant to move on to the next big thing, to pass the torch. They like giving it to established players that we know are this, especially the defensive award. That one is much less likely to go through a big change. You talk about all these different factors on offense and how open the offense is. You get these young guys winning awards all the time. But when you're talking about defense, it's being hard. It's harder to play, so they go and they say, hey, this guy is the best on the best team. He wins, and it kind of is like for it's kind of like that for a lot of awards, not just NBA awards, but awards in general. And it's something that I think the NBA is much more open about than a lot of other leagues. If you remember back, I don't remember how long ago this was. I think it was about 2 years ago, and it happens every year. I believe this was Jokic's first MVP. So what would that be? 3, 4 years ago now. Uh, Devin Booker was third in MVP voting, and it wasn't that he had an MVP season. It was he was the best player on the best team in the West. So get him votes. And they do that a lot. They kind of default to that, and it's hurting Luka a lot in this cycle of the MVP debate. Hey, his team isn't winning. His team is winning now. You know, it boosts a lot of players. It's boosting Rudy Gobert in this DPOY debate. It's sinking Victor Wembenyama's case in the DPOY debate. But if you go look at the numbers, and I think that's an important thing. You need to be able to balance team success with player success, especially when you're talking about individual awards. When you're talking about individual awards, you need to be able to separate it from team success. And I know that's tough, especially in a game like basketball where it's all about the team. Which is why, personally, I don't like using championships as a metric for deciding who the best is of all time. Just because it's a team game. You know, you can be the best player. I mean, again, I don't want to throw Victor Wembenyama's name into this conversation, but just walk with me here. For instance, the Spurs are really, really bad. There's no denying that. But Victor Wembenyama is having award-worthy seasons, you know? No matter how good Victor Wembenyama is, he's not taking this team to the championship. He's just not. This team is not good enough. You need some help around him, and that's why I think championships are not they're something that you can look to for legacy. But if that's your first argument when you're talking about all-time debates, no. I think that's invalid. I think it's a team stat. As much as it is an individual stat, it's more of a team stat. But that's besides the point. This DPOY debate between Victor Wembanyama and Rudy Gobert, the two Frenchmen, two big men, it's a good battle. Rudy Gobert deserves the award. Don't get me wrong. I just think it's not by small margins that Victor Wembanyama is beating him out in these counting stats. You know, I've seen this going around a whole bunch. Victor Wembanyama, 245 blocks. Rudy Gobert in the last 2 seasons, 245 blocks. You know, it's a little bit of bad faith because he was hurt a lot of last season and he was dealing with a whole bunch of stuff as well. Rudy Gobert was. But you can still take a look at that output. 245 blocks in a season. He's going to put up 250. The way he's averaging 3.5 blocks a game, it's super duper impressive. You take a look at the last time someone had 250 blocks in a season. You know, it hasn't happened in quite some time. You know, the last time someone had 250 blocks in a season, we're taking a look at, I mean, Kareem did it a whole bunch of times, but it's been quite some time. We haven't had a dominant force on the inside quite like Victor Wembanyama, and he's only going to get better. I don't know if he's going to be able to get this award this year, but next year, when he's not a rookie, like I said, no rookies have ever won this award, and I think that's dumb. If you're in the league, you're in the league. You should be in contention to win it. And a lot of times it's not because they're just overlooking rookies. A lot of times it's just because the veterans are better. And in this specific scenario, I think Victor Wembanyama deserves the award. He's going to sweep at the award ceremony. He's going to win Rookie of the Year. He's hopefully going to win Defensive Player of the Year. Again, nothing against Rudy Gobert. But Wembanyama is just better defensively. You know, the Spurs' defense jumps from 28th in the league with him off the court to 4th in the league with him on the court. That is one of the most dramatic differences that I have ever seen anywhere. You don't just jump 25 spots, 24 spots out of nowhere without having some special defensive talent. And he is a special defensive talent. So, 3.5 blocks, 1.5 steals. It's almost double every single one of Rudy Gobert's numbers. So I think he should win the Defensive Player of the Year award. He just continues to get better. It's crazy. It's shocking to me, honestly, just how fast he's improving. It's not even that he's this good. It's the fact that you go back to the beginning of the season, even you go midway through the season, the All-Star break, I was still firmly in the Rudy Gobert DPOY camp. But it's like every single week he makes an improvement. Every single week he continues to get better. And that is a scary thought. He is very, very, very good at basketball. I wish the best for him. He is my DPOY pick. Let me know what you guys think of the Defensive Player of the Year battle, the MVP battle. Who should win those? Like I said, I think it should be Wemby. I still am in the Jokic camp, although Luka is making quite a run at it. He should probably be second at this point. Shea is getting votes ahead of him because his team is doing better in the standings, but Luka has brought the Mavs basically out of the play-ins and into the playoffs, so I think he should absolutely get at least second in MVP voting. Let me know what you think in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts. Coming up in our third segment, we are going to leave the realm of basketball. We're going to move into baseball. Baseball season kicked off about 2 weeks ago. We have our first Power Rankings, official Sports by GSMC Podcast Network Power Rankings. We'll talk about all that and more, why I grouped them like this, coming up in segment number 3. We'll be right back on Sports by GSMC Podcast Network.